Anyway, tell me something. Are you still bogged? We spoke yesterday very briefly about are you bogged? And we talked about how we use that dream tree framework that I spoke about to help you get clarity on what you really want with your life. Let me share my little presentation with you so that you guys can see this. Am I in the right spot? Probably not, because I'm having one of those days. Oh, I hope you have had an easier start than I have. Let's put it that way. It started fantastic. And everything just went as I jumped on here. Anyway, just to let you guys know, my phone is over here and attached, so I will be checking in on messages and questions periodically, but I'm a little bit restricted today because of charging issues last night. Anyway, day 2, how to make your goal setting fun and incredibly effective. How on earth do we do this? How do you do this? Because I don't know about you, but most people, when I have said to me previously, I'll just set a goal. Well, that's great. But if you, like, the thing is that I didn't really know how. And I saw all these systems and they didn't actually really work for me because, you know, I'm not one of those kinds of people where it's like, oh, that'll work for you, but not for me, right? Or that'll work for everyone else, but not for me because I'm special. Anyway, I've discovered that I am special. I'm also very normal. And however, I have sort of put my own spin on things that have been shared to make them work for me. Now, remember we said yesterday, you can get in life what you have the courage to ask for. Absolutely you can. We can't necessarily have all the things all the time, but we can definitely have all the things that we want. However, you've got to be absolutely certain on what you want. You can't ask for something if you are not aware and you can't articulate it well. For, you know, to say exactly what it is that you're looking for. And I took you through this process yesterday with the Dream Tree framework. I won't go into further detail with that today, other than to say, get clear on the framework that is for you as a human being. Now, why is that important? Because when you're clear on what that looks like, you can articulate very easily what it is that you want in that canopy that is your world. Very, very easily, because what naturally will happen is because you are clear as you speak about it, as you communicate, as you make decisions, as you move forwards, whatever it takes to get you from where you are now to where you want to be, that process, because you are clear on what you want and what you're doing and how you're going to do it, you will be confident. You will be the confidence will grow as you develop, like as you get success and move towards that, but there will be a confidence from a shift in your confidence from the moment that you get that clarity and make the decision. Okay. Now, in this context of this whole image, why is that relevant? Because what happens is that, you know, in this picture here, right, you've got the boundaries, the boundary fence. I spoke about that very briefly yesterday. We need new boundaries to be able to create a shift from where we are now to where we want to be. Now, I'm not going to sit here and talk to you about whether or not your boundaries are healthy or unhealthy. That's a whole nother level of conversation and something I definitely touch on with my clients. But the thing is that just to create change, right? Even if, say, in my case, right, I've had this not horrendous, there's been lots of other, I've had some really interesting health challenges for the last 2.5 years, and I'm just getting to the bottom of that. I suffer from vertigo that's brought on by migraines. It's affected my balance. There's lots of challenges, and I'm an emotional eater. I have chucked on like 20-something kilos in that time as I've dealt with the process, like all the implications of that. Recently, as in the last couple of months, I have started, because of the changes that I've created, I have started to have days where I don't have vertigo. And so now I'm like, right, awesome. We'll string some more of these together. We'll understand the patterns a bit more. Like all this other clarity is starting to come in my mind about what triggers the vertigo and how to stay away from it. Because literally, if I got tired, I'd get vertigo. If I get tired, I get vertigo. However, I know the patterns now, and so I can go, right, how do I change what I've been doing so that I can get physically healthier. I needed that clarity before I can start to create the shift, put in new patterns, new boundaries to create the shift so that I can start to get rid of the additional lusciousness that I'm carrying, right? So, but here's the thing, I needed to work on in this frame. If you look at this whole image in this context, I needed to get that clarity on what was happening with me and my health in these areas that I felt like I couldn't control. I needed to learn how to understand that new part of me so that then I could put in systems in place, and hence the new boundaries, new systems, new whatever, to create the outcome that I'm looking for in terms of, I want the part of my canopy in my life that is my physical body. I want it to look healthier. I want it to be smaller than it is right now. I've got to create the change. So I've had to get that clarity before I can set in the boundaries and then create that shift. All right. So I hope that makes sense. My goodness, there's so many comments in here already. I'm sorry that I've got to look here, but I'm attached. I'm sorry. So many people watching. Thank you so much. I'm just checking if there's any questions. Thank you for those people who are putting in shares about my album. Oh, thank you, Lucia. Lucia's put a thing in here saying you are very special, Terri Adamson, and a wonderful coach or mentor. I so appreciate that. Thank you, Lucia. Oh, Sandra, my earrings. Sorry. Thank you, Sandra. Can I just share something with you? And the context of this will make a lot more sense. But see this? Let me get up here. Can you see these earrings? These earrings to me are incredibly special. I'll go this way so you can see better. See? Look at them. Now, why is that relevant? I'm going to share a little bit more about that with you as we get through this whole thing about goal setting. So let me get back into sharing the screen again. Because Sandra, you're actually part of the reason why I get to wear these earrings. Did you know that? I'll share with you. I'll explain a little bit more detail about that as we go through. Now, before we go any further, though, I want to acknowledge the traditional owners on the land on which any of us are standing right now. In my case, I am on the border of two separate recognised groups. To the east of me are the Jagera people, and to the west are the Gayabal and Yarrawa people. And I want to acknowledge their the stewardship with which they've taken care of our land. And I'd like to acknowledge their traditional owners, past, present, and emerging, and thank them for their role in allowing us, in us all being where we are right now. Now, as a little side note, for those of you, yes, I will do an acknowledgement of country every single time I can. Sometimes I forget, I'm human, but I do that every time I do a presentation because it's important to me. And it's important as a nation within Australia that we do that, in my opinion. If you are not comfortable doing an acknowledgement of country, I understand. I wasn't for a long time either, but it is something I can help you with if you would like to. No charge. This is not I'm not trying to pitch anything here. I just want to say to you, acknowledgements of country are very, very, very important for so many reasons that I'm not going to go into today. If you're not comfortable with how to do one, just let me know and I can help you through that process. Let me get back on track now with what I wanted to share though. So we went through this thing about we've got to get clear on what you want so that you can, it will give you a new level of confidence right from the very beginning, just a little bit. And then as you go forwards, you will build on that and you will be able to put in the boundaries and new systems, whatever it looks like for you, so you can create the canopy, the life that you're looking for. Now, you've got to know what you want first, because otherwise most of this process is kind of useless. And it can be the smallest or the biggest thing going, right? These earrings actually are a representation of a really big goal for me. And I'll share more about that in a little bit. Oh, excuse me. Now, where are we going here? Checking in on other messages. Oh, Rage, thank you. Is it now? Did we say your name as Rage? I'm not sure. Like rage is not the nicest word in the context of the English language in general conversation. So I don't know whether you say rage or whether it's rage, or I'm sorry if I pronounced it wrongly, but thank you that you love my earrings and that you love my presentation yesterday. I really appreciate that. Now, Smarter goals. Why smarter goals? Because they work. But how do you make them work for you? Well, there's a couple of different ways, and I'm going to share with you the version of smarter goals that I use, and I have used, I teach it with my clients, probably not with as much structure as I possibly could, but literally this is what's going on in my brain as I'm working with my clients to help them get the results that they're wanting. Okay, so let me share with you how we do that, because here's what we're wanting to do. We want to get all those beautiful dreams that are in the framework underneath your personal dream tree framework, and we want to bring all of those into reality. And there's a process that we need to go through to be able to do that. You know, we start with the big goal, and we reverse engineer it back to down to where we are day to day. Now, where do we start? First of all, we've got to be specific. Really, really, really specific. And the more specific, the better. Take the time when you decide what it is that you want. Take the time to define what this is all about. Lucia, in her intro before, was talking about Elizabeth Eleanor, who's presenting later today, who has been a coach of Lucia's, and she's currently a coach of mine. And she's also an amazing human and a friend of mine. She talks about seeing your goals as your desired end result. And I love that terminology. I'm going to see if I can share it, not steal it, share it. But that goal that you are looking for, we'll stick with goals right now, but or the dreams, that result, that dream, that goal, that whatever it is, be specific about what you want. You need to be, it's not, so for me, right? I'm just going to use myself as an example in this one, because I know I'm not going to like squish on anybody's toes at the time. But you can apply this anywhere. And like I said, I help my clients apply this information literally every time we speak. For me, I'd like to reduce the lusciousness by about let's just say straight up 25 kilograms. That's a big old chunk. However, for me to visualize me 25 kilos lighter, which is what I was like just before COVID, like literally my health stuff flared up January of 2020, and then COVID kicked in for us in Australia in March of 2020. So it's all like there's a whole big connection there for me with my life. But I would like to get back to at least the weight that I was back then. And that's literally about 25 kilos, and I am lighter than I am right now. So this is not an unrealistic goal for me. It's just a really big one, right? And that's okay. However, what I'll break it down to is I want to be 4 kilograms lighter by Christmas time. Now, why only 4? We've got a fair chunk of time, because for me, the issues that have brought on the problems right now are still a pretty significant thing. And right now, I'm all for stretching, but actually to try and reduce my body weight by 4 kilograms at this point in that time frame is a bit of a stretch, right? Because of a bazillion other things going on in the background. However, so saying I want to lose weight is not enough. It's not going to cut it. It's better than nothing. However, in all honesty, not that much better. Saying I want to reduce my body weight by 4 kilograms, that is the specificity that we need. Okay. Now, sorry, just checking things again. Where did my comments go? Oh, Ariel loves, I think that too. You want to lose that weight before Christmas? Maybe we can help each other. We can be buddies. Anyway, let's get specific. It's got to be measurable. Absolutely. I can get on the scales today and weigh myself, and then weigh myself, you know, at periodic intervals along the way. If you cannot measure it, it's very, very, very difficult to change it. Now, there are things that you can say. One of your big goals is about having a better relationship with your partner or your friends or your family or your kids or your parents or whoever's important to you, right? If you want to have if it's one a goal that is that, and look, those sorts of goals are as equally important as something like I'm working on in terms of reducing body weight. The difference with those is that where you want to have a better relationship, then maybe it's more like looking at how you're going to go about that. So maybe at the moment you are you don't talk often enough to those family members, or maybe or significant people that you want to build that relationship with. Or maybe you don't spend enough actual time with them. So rather than it being a better relationship, it might be more about, I will ring my mum once a week or once a day or text her. Like, you know, that's where the specificity can come into, because the other thing about the goal is it needs to be actionable. You need to be able to do something about it that you have control over. Because if you're reliant on someone else to influence whether or not this goal comes to fruition, whether or not this dream becomes a reality, then right from day dot, you've already given away your power. And we don't want to be powerless in our lives. We want to be able to stand in who we are. The whole thing about what I do is about helping you as an individual create the life that you want, not that someone else wants. So if this is not, what you're working towards is not actionable by you, then it's kind of not really very beneficial, is it? Right? So it needs to be actionable. So for me, reducing body weight, and look, there's lots of steps in that. It's about eating healthier. It's about getting better sleep. It's about introducing manageable exercise. And that's a really big struggle challenge for me, that one, but we'll work on that. So there's lots of different things that are in here. But, you know, in terms of the relationship stuff, then maybe it's about, like I said, phone calls, text messages, emails, write a written letter, buy a gift. There's a gazillion things, but something that is relevant to that relationship. They're the sorts of things that you can tie into this, right? If you want to set goals in that space, in that sort of stuff that's a little bit less, like, you know, having a better relationship is a lot more, like, it's a little bit more brain and feeling based, as opposed to being actionable. Sorry, I can't get the word out today. Anyway, now the next thing that you want to do, we can see how the word's actually spelt, right? But we're actually going to go for the next step is going to be, is it time? We want a time frame on this. Because if you're just going to say, in my case, I want to be 25 kilos lighter, and what are you going to do about it? If I put a time frame on it and say, I want to be 4 kilograms lighter by Christmas time, Christmas is the 25th of December. There's my time frame. It adds a level of urgency to the goal, because if we don't have any sense of urgency, basically nothing's going to get done. Doesn't help anybody if nothing gets done. So it's really important that you are clear enough on this to actually put the time frame onto it, so that you will actually take the action that we spoke about in the A of this whole situation, right? Your next thing is realistic. Is this goal realistic for you as an individual? Now, your version of reality and everyone else's versions of reality are completely different things, right? For me to say, reduce my body weight by 4 kilograms. We don't want to lose something, because anything we lose, we go and find again. If I reduce my body weight by 4 kilograms by Christmas, it's realistic. I could possibly reduce my weight by more. However, in this instance, I'm choosing to not push that. If anything, I'll just readjust the time frame. If that weight is not on my body anymore by the end of November, then we'll set a new goal for Christmas time. If somebody had said to me 6 months ago to lose 4 kilograms in effectively 2.5 months, particularly with lots of celebrations coming up, in my case, like 6 months ago, that would have been completely unrealistic, because I didn't understand, and I hadn't worked out enough about how the vertigo was happening and how to stop it. So I didn't have the capacity. And it was like, I've spent a big old chunk of the last couple of years physically just kind of surviving and being in this like utter state, because literally when the vertigo affects me, I can't trust the ground, right? That's, for someone who has been very reliant on their physical capabilities as a part of their identity, this is where a lot of the whole emotional side has come for me. And again, like I said, this is why I decided to share about my stuff. I've been walking on uneven ground and not being able to trust where I've been moving for the last 2.5 years. So if you'd said to me 6 months ago that you need to lose weight, I would have gone, nah, can't do it. Because at the time, so much of my world was just about staying vertical, right? So for me at that time, losing this weight was ridiculously unrealistic. Now, let me scoot through this because otherwise I'm going to run out of time here. I don't want to push into someone else's time. When you hit the goal, so for me, when I am 4 kilograms lighter than I am right now, I am going to reward myself. And this is where these come in. Now, I'll share a bit, but these were a reward for me hitting a goal so I ran my big dreams retreat earlier this year. Sandra, who commented on these earrings earlier in the chat, she was at that retreat. And these earrings, I bought them at a time when I shouldn't have been spending any money on earrings. And they were like, they're a little bit extra and I love them. I have this huge earring collection. But I bought these, I left them on their card and I pegged them on my little spot on my desk and I looked at them every day when I was working. These were a reward that were related to the retreat that I just ran with Sandra. Now, I'll just say that retreat, while it was absolutely a boutique experience, that's the best retreat I've ever run. And I absolutely earned these earrings because of that, because to see the impact of what it's helped to other people, Sandra and others who are there creating their life, oh, man, so good. And I'm working on the next one now, ready for March next year, which will be even better. But these were a reward that I earned because of that retreat. Now, the other thing, the last part about goal setting and how to make it really effective for you is that it needs to be evolving. It needs to change as you set goals or as something in your world shifts. Maybe it's about a time frame. When I was talking before about reducing my body weight and that 6 months ago to even consider losing weight was unrealistic for me, because back then where I was in terms of my health and what I could do and could comfortably feel like I could actually do or not do, versus now there's been a change. And so now, before it was, I'm just not going to put on more weight. I just, that was my goal. And I had stopped because I literally, to put on 25 something kilos across 2.5 years, I put it on pretty quickly because that was just my coping mechanism, right? But I pulled it up. And so for the last couple of months, my goal in relation to my physical body has been about not putting on extra weight and just holding where I have been, which I've achieved. So now it's time to push those scales back again. But it evolves as I've evolved and as my world has evolved and as my results have evolved. So please keep this in mind as you're setting the other goals. Now, I want to come back to the reward section for it because here's where the fun comes in. And this is the kicker that has made goal setting for me so much more effective. Yes, you know what? I'm loving these comments and I'm just going to apologize right now. I'm not going to look at any more of them until I finish, because otherwise I'm not going to get through this stuff. And it's really important to me that I finish in the time frame. However, let me go into the goals, the rewards part of it. So this bit, hopefully that all makes sense. If there's questions, I'll come back and look in the chat in a minute. Your rewards, like I said, this is the fun bit. This is the bit that for me as a sanguine that has made this whole process so much more effective. Think about your love language. What is your primary love language for you as an individual, right? And what I suggest that you do is that you take your reward and you design it around your love language. How do you do that? Hopefully we all know what the love languages are, but I'll run through them very quickly. Quality time. This is time with, like, if your primary love language, so love languages are about, we speak, love languages are the same as verbal languages, right? We speak and receive love. We say and like we share and receive love in different languages. The languages are quality time, so spending time uninterrupted, preferably with the people that you care about. Words of affirmation, so saying that I love you, appreciating, being verbally expressing gratitude and thanks for things that people have done for you or who they are or those other things. Compliments are are part of the words of affirmation love language. Giving and receiving gifts. Now, gifts are my secondary language because, so for me, it's about receiving. I personally love to give gifts to people. There's very few gifts that I really love receiving because I've got a clutter problem in my house. And most people like to give stuff that is what I already have an abundance of. And while I absolutely appreciate it, it's more about the clutter impact than the actual gift in terms of not loving receiving gifts so much. But I'm working on that one too. Acts of service is actually my primary language. So for me, if I'm sitting working and my husband or my son or our eldest, if they're home, brings me a cup of tea or coffee and just like makes it the way that I like and just pops it on the desk without me actually asking anything, oh man, it just lights me up. You know, put a load of washing on and have it done so that I don't have to think about it. That is like, that's how I show and receive love more than anything else, is doing things for other people. And physical touch is the fifth one. So that can be anything from, you know, just it's a hug, or it's a, you know, shaking a hand, or it's a, you know, patting an arm, or, you know, ruffling a kid's hair. All those things are all come into physical touch. So have a think about what your primary love language is. Now, if you're a physical touch person, set a goal, add your reward, but what your reward could be, you go for a massage, or you go for a pedicure or a manicure, or, you know, there's so many different ways. And obviously the size of the reward, it needs to be dependent on the level of, like, the size of the goal and the size of the reward ideally should be kind of connected, or the significance of that reward should be connected. So if you're somebody who has a massage all the time on a regular basis, then setting a massage as a goal has a bonus. And sometimes, like, it's a yes and a no kind of thing, right? But it, like me, I don't like massages very much. There's one person who I've had that massaged me that I really, really love. So me setting a goal to have that particular person massage me, and actually, you know, putting in my diary and booking it and paying for it, that is a big goal kind of reward, because it's, yes, I love it, but I love just that one particular one. So there's a whole bunch of different ways in here that you can take your personal love language, apply it to that reward, and use that reward that you get when you achieve that goal. You've got to be disciplined in sharing, in only giving yourself that reward when the goal has been achieved in the way that you have defined for yourself. That delayed gratification element that comes into this is really, really important, because if you reward yourself too early, it kind of negates so much of that whole process. All right, so I hope this has made sense. If you wanted to find out more about this, there's so many ways that we can communicate. What I might do is drop my Calendly link into the chat, so if you want to discuss this further, or any of the other things that I've spoken about, just let's hop on and say hello. I'm a chatter. I love to say hello to people. I love to learn about who you are, what you do, how we can help each other. Maybe you'll end up as my client. Maybe I'll end up as your client. Who knows? That's all okay. What I am going to do now is say thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate you. Let me know if there's any questions, and I'm going to jump off so the next person can give their presentation. Thank you so much again, Lucia. For now, it's bye from me.